Alright everyone, well, I'm sorry I didn't get this review up sooner. I had other stuff to work on, obviously, with my end of the year list, which I was trying to get up sooner as well. But here it is, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Does it live up to what the first two films did? You bet your ass it does. Because, well, I was a little skeptical seeing how, for most of you who probably seen the first two films, we all know the backstory behind the first one, even before its release. I don't have to get into that with the whole redesign. So, yeah, obviously, after that was a big hit, I anticipated the second one, which was probably even better, despite a little bit of padding to it, which made it actually a little longer, just a little over 2 hours to be exact. But for any of you who saw that movie, you can all agree it was a humongous hit and a massive fan service, which did great. I mean, yeah, these films aren't masterpieces. They're just good, plain fun for any fans of this franchise, because you know me, I grew up playing these games, and it was the main reason I ever played a Sega Genesis, even though, of course, Sega doesn't make gaming consoles anymore. But yeah, that was Sega's big mascot, like Mario is to Nintendo. But for any of you who saw the second movie and saw the mid-credit scene, just like the first movie had with hinting Tails coming in, which he did in the second movie, this movie, well, it hinted Shadow. And that's where I was a little skeptical because, yeah, we all know Shadow the Hedgehog is sort of an arch rival of Sonic. And, well, not that I don't really like this character, I just didn't really find him the most interesting because he got one video game which was a huge bomb. I mean, he goes on a bike, he shoots things with a gun. Yeah, I was a little skeptical on this one. But thank the Lord, I was 100% wrong to judge. And yeah, obviously it's not the only game he was in. He actually made his debut in Sonic Adventure 2 on Sega Dreamcast, which is a great 3D Sonic game, as well as a few others, including most notably and recently Sonic X Shadow Generations, which is a great remastering of Sonic Generations. I highly recommend getting that one. It's available for Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox and Steam, but not to get off track, this movie was everything you would hope for it to be. And the casting choices, most of them all returned. You got James Marsden and his wife, played by Tika Sumpter, as well as Ben Schwartz, voicing yours truly, the blue and likable hedgehog. And, of course, Tails and Knuckles, voiced by their respectable voice counterparts. And, well, Shadow is voiced by none other than Keanu Reeves, which, yes, of course, I find it to be a weird coincidence that in the first movie, you probably remember Sonic watches the movie Speed, which happens to star Keanu Reeves, and even quotes him in one scene saying, "Pop quiz, hotshot." So, yeah, that's pretty funny right there. And all I could say is, that voice casting choice was spot on right there. He has that real badass and intimidating tone, filled with vengeance and rage. And with this casting choice, he gives it the perfect vibes right here, considering the past action movies he's been in before. I mean, he just nails it right here. Now, they didn't really have to give him too much of a backstory, but basically, he's from another world, but also created on one of Dr. Robotnik's ships, and they use him in a science lab that's now abandoned in the present day. They experimented on him and kept him in a tube with his speed and his powers and everything like that. And, well, okay, now we're going to get into sort of spoiler territory. I won't give anything away major, but if you don't want any spoilers whatsoever, turn the video off right now. Otherwise, yeah. He develops a friendship with Dr. Robotnik's cousin. You know, they have fun, they frolic, and basically, it kind of brings out a soft spot in Shadow. But then after tragedy strikes in the lab, that's where it brings out the worst in him, and they keep him kind of cryogenically frozen in a secluded location. And then, well, you know the plot. He gets out, and all hell breaks loose. So then it's, of course, up to the fast hedgehog, the two-tailed fox, and, of course, the strong as hell Echidna to save the day. They drop in, if you saw the trailer, and, well, doesn't exactly work out the way they hoped it would because he's a lot more powerful than they thought. Yeah, they're a great team, and they have developed a good friendship. They've established themselves in the world. They're celebrating, of course, Sonic's first full year of living on Earth. And, of course, returning characters from the last movie. You all know who comes back. None other than Dr. Robotnik. He's the one who saved his life, and, well, is actually overweight, more or less a couch potato watching weird French movies. But it brings out some good comedy right there, I will say. Yeah, he's just as funny and over the top as you remember from the last two movies. And what do you know? They have to go to him to try to stop this whole threat because they realize that, well, he's actually not the one who let Shadow loose. It's none other than his old as hell grandfather. And yeah, we all know, judging by the trailer, he's played too by Jim Carrey. And he did great too. I mean, it's great that they're able to bring both versions of him, make him look old with the aging effect, and obviously Jim Carrey with the way he looks today. And they have sort of an interesting bond with a rather weird but hilariously over-the-top montage with like Christmas and, acting like a child basically. It's just strangely amusing, to say the least. But you'd expect that out of this character. I mean, he's just as enjoyable to watch as ever. And turns out his grandfather's the one who let him loose to avenge the life of what turned out to be his granddaughter, who, as I said, Dr. Robotnik's child cousin, which was back in the 1970s. Though the song End of the Line was not recorded by the Traveling Wilburys until years after this took place. But regardless of that error, this is a nice, sweet little montage that the two characters have bonding with one another. It gives you that moment that you just feel for these characters so much. And you obviously know what's going to become a Shadow. You know he's not going to be a villain forever. And there's a lot of great action in here, and that's what leads up to this. A lot of great fight scenes, really cool gadgets, Team Sonic teaming up to take down and get this device that will keep Dr. Robotnik from activating the machine alongside his grandfather, which goes into space. And right here is another major fan service. It's not the Death Egg, it's actually the Eclipse cannon with the Dr. Robotnik logo on it, with the face and the mustache and everything like that. And, well, I don't think I want to go much further there with spoilers. It's a really great time. It actually is a little bit shorter than the last movie, but for that runtime, I was fully immersed and entertained. You got the first time Sonic going up into space, fighting Shadow with an epic showdown. Of course, Wade's character makes a return, who's just as funny and goofy as ever, playing around with the Master Emerald, using it as a hockey puck, and that obviously plays a role in this movie. So yeah, there's one moment where Sonic kind of goes on his own, becoming a bit of a jerk, but it's not for a bad reason because he knows he wants to try to take him down. But then it gets to that moment where it's like, you can relate to both of these characters in the same way because they have similar backstories, and you know what's going to become a Shadow, and you know Sonic is not going to become a killer. He's just trying to save the world, but as I said, it works. It works in every way, and ironically, Dr. Robotnik sort of becomes a hero. Yeah, so not going to give away how it ends right there. Like I said, just go see it for yourself. It's a very entertaining movie. For Sonic fans, it brings plenty of fan service in there. And yep, just like the last two movies, there are a mid-credit scene and even an end-credit scene. Yes, one after the credits, which I wouldn't dare give away. Just go see it for yourself. And this obviously isn't the end of the Sonic movies. There's going to be a fourth one in 2027. Yeah, we're going to have to wait that long for another one. But otherwise, yes, this was a great time. Sometimes, third time is a charm, and for this franchise, it's no exception. So, my final verdict is, rockin' Wii Motion Plus up, and I'm playing Weird Mode up. Believe me, it's a good fun time, whether or not you're a fan of Sonic, and if you are, definitely go see it. So, till next time, keep watching.